I'm starting with nothing but the Pleiades Armory deck, straight out of the box. Each week, I hit up my local Flesh and Blood scene and brawl for victory. Each time I win, I earn a spin on the Forge, a wheel of fate that can give me packs, singles, or even a little help from the locals. With each spin, I'll upgrade my deck piece by piece, clawing my way from rookie to revered. Can I turn this deck into a real contender? This is Armory Ascension. Alright, here we are, week 1. The climb starts now. So I've got this here Pleiades deck, and let's see if I can actually win a few games with it. Because this is the first episode, I will take a quick second here to go over some of the rules while I crack open the deck here. So obviously I'm going to take this starter deck to the Armory, and we're going to add to it and upgrade it based on the wins I get. I'll also be including any gem packs or prizing packs or anything that I just happen to get while I'm at the Armory. Nothing that I pay extra for or anything. Each of the wins that I get is going to be one spin on the Forge. Most of the slices on the wheel are pretty self-explanatory, but a couple of them I'm going to leave to be surprises. And we're going to wait until they come up before I explain what those are. And before I forget to mention it, there are a couple extra rules, but I'm not going to go over those until they come up. I don't want to bore you guys with a long introduction on the rules, and they are little surprises to keep things interesting if I go on a big win or big loss streak. So yeah, this first Armory is just about setting a baseline, figure out what this deck can do, learning Guardian, learning how the instant auras play, and maybe we'll get lucky and I can get my first upgrade. I'm not really expecting any miracles to happen, but at the very least it'll be good practice. So let's head down to Armory and see how the deck performs. Alright, so round 1 I'm up against Lyeth. I'm a bit nervous because I played Lyeth at the pre-release and he felt insanely strong. Lucky for me, my opponent didn't come up with the best in slot equipment. They just wanted to try him out and see if he's good enough to build. But even this budget setup seems pretty crazy good. Early on in the match, he set up this giant mite turn. I think he had 9 mites, or maybe it's 8 mites rolling in to the next turn. I wanted to respond by kind of throwing some disruption, so I got a Tear Asunder in there and either forced him to throw away most of his hand or to just cripple his turn, hopefully. We kept going back blow for blow, trading these giant attacks, giant blocks.
And a little while later, I did manage to set up a standing ovation turn. Had the 3 ores leave, had it in arsenal. As soon as I played it, my opponent was a little worried. He wasn't sure if it was better to let it hit or block it out. He did decide to block it, including using his tunic pretty early on, so that was pretty cool. And then he kept throwing some giant intimidate attacks at me that were pretty hard to deal with, but I had enough life, so I just tanked it.
By the end of it, we were about to draw, but being such an honorable, generous guy, and humble, of course, I conceded, let my opponent have the win. They were gonna keep me in a scenario where I would just have to block with my whole hand. Not really the reason to draw that out and just go to time. Honestly, not bad. Still got him down to 1 life, still a close game, but definitely need to learn how to better prioritize my blocks and pay more attention to my own on-hits. Okay, game 2. So I'm matched with a player that I haven't met before. They seem pretty cool, pretty experienced player. They're trying out the new KO underhanded cheat. Getting kind of lucky, or maybe unlucky here with all of the new Super Slime heroes, because I don't really know how good or bad they are yet. This KO, he seems kind of interesting, but I'm not sure. I'm not really sold that he's better than the old KO. Spamming Blood Rush Bellows and just 6 powers is good and easy, whereas this guy I think takes a little more finesse to make work. This guy I was the least familiar with out of all the Super Slime heroes, and that inexperience might have led to me losing this match. I definitely should have looked a little bit more into the Wild Brute stuff to figure out more what he was going to do, what his game plan was. I knew that he wanted to change things to 6 attack, but I didn't really know what the benefit of that was. Yeah, that definitely cost me in this match because I got caught off guard by a couple of scary tricks that I did not see coming. I knew about outside interference and obviously like pummel, like standard stuff. Outside interference, that seems like a super good card, by the way. I was kind of always going to be scared of that. What I did not expect, though, was that KO would be able to use his ability so often. I thought the 4 cost on it was quite crippling, and he would only be able to do it like once or twice, maybe throughout the entire game. But this player, they definitely made good use of it, and it paid off for sure. On the final turn, I made a mistake. He was swinging a pretty decent sized attack, and I thought that I was blocking it enough.
I miscounted his resources. I saw the 1 card in hand. Tunic counter I thought was at 2, not 3. I don't know why I didn't clarify or look closer. And then obviously he activated KO's instant ability, switched the attack to a 6 power, which triggered everything else, and it was GG from there.
Honestly, overall in this matchup, I blocked pretty bad, but I didn't really know what was worth blocking. And then also the base structure deck, I don't have things like Sink Below or decent block options outside of Turning Point, so I need to look more into how to block, especially against brutes. Seems like they are getting pretty popular right now, so that's definitely my takeaway from this match. Alright, going to Game 3, final round. I'm against another person that I've never met before. They were brand new to the game. They just picked up the Pleiades deck like 30 minutes before the Armory started. So a lot of this match was mostly just teaching a new player how to play, seeing how their cards work, trying to talk them through the hero. But we're both learning, so that's totally fine. I was definitely more focused on teaching them the game and understanding the basics. We basically just went back and forth, throwing attacks at each other, throwing big blocks. But this game would have ended in a draw too had I not conceded to them, let them win. However, they definitely had the ability to win, but they didn't realize it. They had a Terra Sunder in their arsenal that they tried to use earlier but didn't have the resources for, so all they had to do was just pitch into that and swing Moment Maker, and I wouldn't have been able to block that out with no more equipment. Something I did take away from this match was that my opponent was basically just full blocking each turn and then throwing a Moment Maker. If they had the extra resources, they'd throw out an Aura, but it was basically just the classic Fatigue Guardian strategy, and it worked surprisingly well. Even though it wasn't necessarily intentional, it was very effective. I felt like I was throwing so many just giant attacks, and it just never got through, so it wasn't it wasn't even worth it. But yeah, definitely something to think about moving forward. Maybe I should just look into Fatigue Guardian. I've always thought that that's kind of a difficult way to play and only really works well into specific like aggro matchups. That's definitely something I am going to think about moving forward. Alright, so end of the Armory. We, basically went 0-3. Technically 1 loss, 2 draws, but I'll just call it 3 losses because I did concede. Well, we'll be honest. Not really an exciting week. That gets us 0 spins on the wheel. We do have a gem pack opening though. It was kind of interesting. The last of the Gem Pack 2s were left over, so for today, we did get a Gem Pack 2 and a Gem Pack 3. Pretty cool. I don't really know how much that's going to help us, but if we get lucky, we could add some extra value into our deck. Let's see what we can get in here. Nothing too crazy. I mean, this generic is really the only thing that we get here, and it could be worth considering playing. I know that a lot of people are all about this card and think it's great. I'm not really sold on it. I mean, I don't have a sideboard yet, so I guess this is the first card that we can add in, that we can actually play.
Now let's crack open my very first Gem Pack 3. Not a whole lot in here that we can get other than like rarity upgrades, but still some pretty cool things. Maybe some things I can sell for some value. Got Low Blow here. It's an okay reviled card. Maybe one day we will spec out a Pleiades and Goliath. Not too optimistic on that though. Ooh, Cold Foil. This is kind of cool. Clamp Press. It looks like this is going for about 20-30 bucks right now. Might be able to sell it and add to some credit, which I can use to purchase some of the cheaper cards at the very least. Maybe like a playset of Sink Belows or Pummels or something staple like that. Not too bad. Pretty nice looking. Might be able to trade it to some of the mech players at the Armory.
And this would be where I end the video, but just because that was kind of an uninteresting result, and next week is going to be a bit messy. My store is hosting a ProQuest, but on the Armory before the ProQuest, there'll be a lot of competitive players around, and so I don't think this deck will do too well. So I'm going to ask my opponents before we play if they would rather play against this Pleiades deck with me, or if they want to get some like actual real practice in, which is totally reasonable. I mean, a lot of these guys drove like 5 hours to get here. I don't really want to ruin their last chance to practice before ProQuest. So if an opponent asks about it, I will play my standard kind of competitive Kasai deck. Otherwise, we'll play Pleiades. Alright, so we just got back from the second Armory night. First 2 rounds, both of my opponents were going to be playing in the ProQuest, so I just played Kasai versus them, didn't record those games or anything. If you're interested, I did lose both games. Both of them were on very strong decks, and I am very out of practice with Kasai, and didn't have Wizard or Arcane matchup cards with me. Not that I had 0 AB, but just didn't have as much as I should. And then the third round I got a bye, so I'm a little conflicted. Technically, I did get 1 win with Pleiades, I suppose, but it's not really a real win. I didn't really learn too much other than just more matchups of what the metagame was. First round I played against Old KO, and second round I was against Verdance. I got a little bit more experience. I've been a little out of practice lately, so at least that was decent for me. And I did play a couple extra games on Talishar just for some extra practice with the Pleiades deck. Getting my first upgrade based on a bye round win feels a little bit scummy since I haven't taken an actual win yet.
So instead, I'm just going to take the gem pack that I earned, add that to my collection, and then hopefully next week we can get some wins. So here's the second gem pack opening. I did trade the pirate card that I got for a just random common from Super Slam. But I did pull a rarity upgrade for Standing Ovation, so that's pretty cool.
There's been an interesting development. I did not realize at the time of pulling this that this Standing Ovation is actually a cold foil. I didn't even realize it was a rainbow foil when I pulled it. I thought it was just an extended art. Yeah, someone else in the local store Discord, they were asking about it because on the product sheet it is listed as a cold foil. But I'm not sure. I'm not convinced. I don't really see it. It just looks like a normal rainbow to me. Very interesting. Very interesting. I probably could sell this card, but I think I'm just going to keep it because it's pretty cool. At least for now, I'm trying to use it as part of the Aura strategy. So we'll just slot it into the deck as an upgrade. And then here's the card that I mentioned that I traded for. It was a red dig in. Don't know if I'll ever play this, but might as well throw it in the sideboard. Maybe I'll side it versus Brood or something. And then might as well sleeve up the Fiddler's Green that we pulled as well. Same thing. I don't really like it just because it's red. 3 life gain sometimes matters, some matchups. Maybe I'll side it in versus Brute, who knows. But that's going to do it for this week, folks. Next week we will show up to Armory, hopefully get some wins. If not, though, that will be 3 weeks in a row without a win, and that will activate one of my special comeback mechanics. That will kick in after the episode, assuming we don't get any wins. If we do, we'll hit up the wheel and then end it off with any changes to the deck, just kind of like this. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you have any suggestions. I'm always adapting. I'm still trying to figure out the format of these videos here. I think there's a little more that I want to do with them, especially on scene, so that I can give better recaps, better summaries. So I'm going to take some notes on scene this week. And we will catch you next week.